Broadcasting live from the basement of a Pentagon. This is WTF Nation Radio.
Just running from the pain in my heart. Into the arms of another, and for a while she made me feel alright. But in a crazy blunder, your love took me back under. Now I'm tied to those shackles and chains. Said don't cry for me, stars. I love you and I want you, and you'll always draw me near. I'm just running from the pain in my heart. I'm just running from the pain in my heart. 10 years' time it took me to unwind, and now I'm right back from where it began. How old will I be when you finally set me free, and the sun shines on my heart again? Said don't cry for me, sweet Anna Lee. You know you're the keeper of my stars. I love you and I want you, and you'll I'm just running from the pain in my heart. I'm just running from the pain in my heart. I'm just running from the pain in my heart.
Come on out, 1965, them boys were called upon. Some fist-fighting cowboys in them jungles of Vietnam. I'm an airborne man, baby. Drop me anywhere you please. Yeah, I'm one mean motherfucker. Don't you never double-cross me. 19 years old, doing the bidding for Uncle Sam. Desert boots strapped on my feet, machine gun in my head. I'm an airborne man, baby. Drop me anywhere you please. Y'all, I'm one mean motherfucker. Don't you never double cross me. Come on now. Strapped across my vest, 800 more, and I'm gonna pluck one in your chest. I'm an airborne man, baby. Drop me anywhere you please. Y'all, I'm one mean motherfucker. Don't you never double cross me. Oh, 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 oh. Don't you never. I'm a mean motherfucker, so don't you never double cross me.
wear a condom. We're in Fayetteville. No one gets STDs here.
The voice of U.S. Army, WTF Moments. This is WTF Nation Radio.
Everything stated on WTF Nation Radio is to be considered the opinion of the person that stated it, and not an official representation of WTF Nation Radio or U.S. Army WTF Moments.
Price does not include tax, title, or license. Some assembly required. Each item sold separately. Batteries not included. Objects in mirror are closer than they appear. If conditions persist, contact a physician. Individual results may vary. Keep out of the reach of children. Avoid prolonged exposure to direct sunlight. Keep in a cool, dark place. And
please enjoy the show. Shots.
Oh, shit. Oh, Radar's on it tonight. I never get that stinger. There's no like lead time. It goes right into the next song. There's no like use at the end of stuff. There's like 3 seconds. So there's not on that one. And I never fucking get it. I either get it way too early or way too late, and I got it. This is like the first time in like 3 years I ever did that right. So, and I remember my fucking button. Like, shit. I'm on it tonight. Hey, everybody, it's Radar. Just coming to hang out tonight. Gonna shoot some shit for a little bit right here in the sports book. The smoke pit. I used to being at work, man. Colin McClintock was saying, yeah, man, that's Mark Ridge. He was a guest on our show, a year and a half ago, maybe? Something like that. Great dude. Old airborne guy, really nice dude. Is a real musician. He writes his own music, travels along, plays smoky bars and trying to make it big, so we're trying to give him a hand. So, yeah. Dude, we love that. We love musicians who are, who are vets. And here's the deal. Okay, I like musicians who write their own music, who are out there grinding and trying to make it big. You know what I mean? Everyone's got that, like, everyone in the business has that, like, story. Right, I had to do this to make it big. I had to do this to make it big. We've had some bigger celebrities on too. We've had Big Kenny on from Big and Rich. We had Ted Nugent on, and both those guys had some really cool stories about how they came up in the industry and like how they became kind of what they are today, how they made it. And it's interesting to talk to them on how they made it. And how the people now are trying to make it, and all the different avenues of social media, and like Spotify and shit. Like you can fucking write a song right now and download it if it's good enough quality on a Spotify and play it, and maybe get viewers and listeners on your TikTok and YouTube and social media page. Instagram is big, you know. So it's cool to have people on who are trying to do that and trying to better themselves. I love vets who are trying to do better for themselves and spread that kind of gospel of the dude who, you know, is out grinding it. So yeah, Mark's cool dude. So anyway, welcome to Smoke Pit. Thanks, Spanky. Spanky's here playing the gospel of she's speaking the gospel of Texas A&M and how they're going to win the national championship. And you know what? I don't think she's too far off. Looking at the brackets, they actually have a pretty good chance. The Aggies only had one loss all season. That was to a really good team in Texas. And so, I mean, the bowl system is broken. Coach, if you're in and you want to come on, man, I'll set the shit up. If you want to come in and bullshit for a little bit. He was in the chat a little bit ago. If Coach wants to come on and bullshit for a little bit. I know he hadn't talked about this in the last show. I didn't go to because I was at work yet. But you know, I think the Aggies got a chance, man. I think the Aggies got a chance. Okay, so hold on. Okay, we're gonna talk about Notre Dame and this is why I don't think they got robbed. But I'm gonna get this up. I'll send the link to Coach and get him going here, because I don't think they got robbed. I don't know. We've talked about this a little bit before, but I've got some ideas for college football, and I don't know, dude. I think it's just fucked. I think college football is kind of fucked right now. And did they get kind of ruined? Maybe. Did they get kind of fucked over? Maybe, but man, I don't know. I don't know, dude. Because like when he said ND, I thought he meant UND, North Dakota. I'm like, dude, they're not even a BCS team. Um, I think I think there's too much money in college football. I think that's part of it. And I think there's programs who are just legacy programs that are never going to like actually amount to anything. You know what I mean? I think they're just not going to do it. I just think they're not going to do it. I sent that in your guys' chat. Anyway, I'm getting this all set up for Coach. Wasn't planning on having a dude. I wasn't planning on having a guest speaker. I do think the system is fucked though. But I tell you what, I think the majority of the teams that made it, I think Indiana's not as good as people say they are. I don't think Ohio State's as good as people say they are. And I think that there's a lot of programs who are feeding those big schools because they have the money. And that's where it's kind of like, I don't know. The system has grown and evolved, and I'm not sure that I love it. And I'm sure Coach has some. I'm sure he's got some some words to say. So he's coming on. How about anyone else? Anyone else got some thoughts on that before we get into going crazy? Because yeah, I think there's a lot that we need to fix. Oh, there he is. What's up, buddy? I'm not going to put you on camera. Okay. Well, I gotta make a scene is what I gotta do. So, but yeah, okay. So, no, you're fine. We'll just do the audio, dude. You're good. You should be okay. See, okay. So, explain to me why you think Notre Dame got screwed. We'll start with there. Why do you think Notre Dame got screwed? Okay. 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 Right. Okay. Mm-hmm. Okay. Okay. Yes. Yeah, they're not a conference school. Yeah. Yes. Mm-hmm. Okay. See, I'm torn on this, and this is where I'm at. Okay, is I'm looking at their schedule right now, and the first I know like whatever teams went in, they lost to Miami, and should they have lost? I don't know. They're both 10-2. They lost to Miami. Okay, and then they lost to the Aggies, which I mean they're I really think the Aggies have a really solid chance of winning the championship. But then but then you look at the rest of their schedule, right? But then they okay. Purdue went 2-10. Arkansas went 2-10. Boise State, they beat Boise State. Boise State was their first ranked opponent that they beat was at 9-4, right? And then they play North Carolina State, and then they play USC, who was 9-3, right? Then they played Boston College, who went 2-10, and then they beat Navy. Navy was a solid team, and they beat them pretty solid, right? But then you look, you know, they didn't do that great, but they did beat Pitt, and then they beat Syracuse, who were 3-9 for the season, and then they beat Stanford, who were 4-8. Like if you're going to play all these teams, half their teams they play and I'll make the argument that Indiana has a really similar schedule. I'll make the argument that Ohio State plays some garbage teams too. I'm not saying that, but when half your schedule is teams who don't even have a winning record and traditionally don't. Right? It's not like they played, A&M had an off year this year and went 2-10, or someone like, Stanford went 4-8. They normally do. They normally not very good teams. So they and there's a lot of teams at a lot of conferences, even conference teams. I'll look at Nebraska, who has a really fucking marshmallow schedule too. And you look at these teams who, if you want to be competitive, and I'm not saying they even need to be in a conference. I'm not saying that they don't even need to join a conference, but they can play higher caliber teams. If they went early in the season and instead of playing Arkansas, if they would have played Ohio State and beat Ohio State the third or fourth week of the season, you see what I mean? If they would schedule, and they have the opportunity to schedule these teams. It's not that they don't have to. It's not they're not bound by a conference schedule where they need to play X amount of teams. They're not bound by that. They can play all of these teams. And should, and maybe not even all of them, but they should if they want to be, and goes for all of them. And this is what pisses me off about college football, is half of these teams just beat up on shit teams. They beat up on the Razorbacks. They beat up on the Boilermakers. And the Boilermakers, used to be a great team. I'm not saying that they don't have a tradition there, but they don't anymore. They're not throwing the money into it that Notre Dame is. Notre Dame's throwing a ton of money in their football program. But you have to, and that's where I think we need to take just a certain number of teams, or if you want to be eligible. Right now we got the BCS. You're eligible for bowl games, you're in BCS, but whatever. But there should be like a championship level, a next level up. If you want to be a national championship caliber team, you need to play nothing but national championship caliber teams. And pick a number. If it's 40 teams or 50 teams or 60 teams, have something better than BCS that those teams can go into. And then there's no argument. There's no, well, yeah, okay, you won, but you beat fucking North Carolina State. They're not and that's where we're running into these issues. And if they would just fix that, and I agree that I think I don't think Notre Dame got screwed as hard. I think they should have made it, but I don't think they got egregiously screwed. If that makes sense, they got some lube. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Right. Right. Okay. Who's that? Yeah. Hmm. Right. No, I agree. I agree with that. I do agree with that. And I don't think James Madison's better than like Iowa State. And Iowa State's not even in this conversation. I mean, I don't think James Madison's better than Nebraska, and I think Nebraska sucks. Mm-hmm. Yep. Right. Yep. Mm-hmm. Right. No, I agree, and I think the bowl system itself anymore. I think the bowl system worked when you were using that to gauge your national champion, right? But now it's just a and I think you'll notice too, except for the very few really, the Orange Bowl, the Rose Bowl, all the bowls that really matter, other than the Pop Tart Bowl because it's hilarious. But I mean, if you look at that bowl schedule, there's some bowl games, and I'm just like I don't even fucking know. Like, why are we have these and no one's going to watch them? I think part of that. Go ahead. Go ahead. Mhm. Right. Mhm. 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 Right. Mhm. Not this year, but yeah. Mhm. Yeah. And I think it should be. Mhm. Yep. Mhm. Right. Well, and they start like this weekend. We have bowl games starting. Well, and okay, and hold on because this is where I understand putting some South Carolina State versus Prairie View A&M is this weekend, playing in the Celebration Bowl on Saturday. And then it's Boise State and Washington in the LA Bowl on Saturday. Yeah. I don't know, probably. South Carolina State and Prairie View A&M. Prairie View A&M is an HBC. But I don't know about South Carolina State. Possibly. Right. Well, right. No, and well, and it should. And what I'm saying though with these they can just have the fucking game. It doesn't need to be a bowl game. Right? It can just be I mean, we have all these. It's diluted it. It's like it's the way I feel about Major League Baseball. People care about Major League Baseball in May, and they care about Major League Baseball in October. Everything else, no one gives a shit about because each individual game has no meaning, right? If you get a chance, you catch your favorite team's game. I'm not saying that baseball needs to go away, but I'm just saying like it's really tough. And I'm working a sports book, dude. I sit there 5 days a week and I watch the same two guys come in and watch the Brewers play. You know what I mean? Like but overall, it's not till the end of the season when people start caring, right? And so you can have these games, you can have these teams play. I'm not saying we need to eliminate. You can just have, the Salute to Veterans Bowl, Troy versus Jackson State. And I like Troy because a girl that I went to high school with, her son plays for Troy. And she was one of my best friends growing up. He plays for Troy. I'm probably going to watch it because it's on Tuesday, so I'll be at work. And then it'll be on TV, so I'll watch it. But I mean, does that need to be a bowl game? Do we need to make these bowl games? This is where it becomes like diluted. Like we have the BCS. Like you said, any team with 6 wins or more can play in these games. So it's not and half their season, half of Troy's season, they play Idiot Skills Community College. You know what I mean? Yeah. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Right. Mm-hmm. Right. Mm-hmm. Okay. Right. Mm-hmm.
Content. We have so many avenues right now that they have to have some type of fresh content. So with 4 different ESPN channels, they have to have bowl games to fill up the time on those channels.
Right.
But it also gets rid of the exclusivity. The exclusivity when it's on something broadcast where everybody can see it on those broadcast channels. And I'm talking like, ABC, NBC, Fox, and CBS. There's a big difference between, oh yeah, we're watching on ESPN, the SEC Network Bowl or something like that, or watching it at 10 o'clock on ESPN2 is the Sunshine Douchebag Bowl.
Right.
That type of exclusivity is good for making content, but I wish that content was not was broadcast on broadcast TV instead. You
Right.
know?
Exactly. Because
Then there should be something. Yeah,
well,
there would be something if it would be like every night, you know, during Christmas instead of, you know, hey, instead of a rerun of, you know, freaking whatever Abbott Elementary, here is the, you know, Louisiana Gator Douche Bowl.
right. Yeah.
You know,
Well, and that's
that would be
and
great.
that's where I get with what I was with the way I was going to look at it was if you had the top 40, pick a fucking number. We'll say 40.
Yeah.
Okay. Those schools all, you know, compete for the national championship, and then you have like they do now with the BCS and the FCS. They have a fucking bracket, right?
Yeah.
And then do the same thing with that whatever that have
Didn't you and I
BCS
talk
and
about
then
this a couple months ago?
yeah, and you were like it doesn't work. You were trying to tell me how it wouldn't work.
Yeah, I'm telling you, 24, 40 won't work. 24 will work.
Okay, and like I said, and pick a number that works 24, 30, whatever. Because this is what I think. This is what I think with at bowl games. This is what I think they are. I think they're a way to get people to subscribe to ESPN Plus because they're not going to be on anything else. They might be on BTN Plus or you know ACC Plus or some shit, which is all part of ESPN Plus, and people are going to pay for that subscription to watch their favorite team play, right?
Yeah.
Because most people, I think that there's some people who are going to watch it because football is on and they like watching football, but for the most part, they're not going to garner the ratings. Like if you have someone like, I don't know, a good basketball game on or this weird bowl game that nobody knows the teams, people are going to watch that basketball game. You know what I mean? And so if you have something where it's a tournament and you have like like I said, the BCS games, a BCS like level with bowls that are still meaningful and those guys are going to have a chance in the national championship. But I mean, like you said, you're talking about James Madison, like they're going. Why fight so hard to get into the championship, right? When you're going to play Oregon first round and lose, you know what I mean? Like, you're not going to have, you know, Miami's not going to beat A&M, and I'm surprised that A&M is ranked number 7 still, honestly. But I mean, you might as well just give A&M a first round bye, honestly, because they're not going to win. They're not going to get a chance to go forth and do right. So why push so hard for these dudes, I guess? You know what I mean? When you have teams, like you said, like Notre Dame, who have a chance of actually winning in the first round. Yeah. I don't know that Notre Dame would go all the way. Do you? Do you think if Notre Dame was in that spot instead of Miami, that they would have an actual shot at winning the national championship?
Okay. Last year, did you think that they would get to the national championship after? Let me go with how that whole thing shook down. Didn't everybody get upset on the first, like 5, 6, 7, 8 ended up being the final 4?
Mm-hmm.
You know, yeah. So we had all upsets with the top 4 after missing that week. They lost it out.
Right.
So the betting public were all thinking, someone in that top 4 is going to be the national championship.
Right. And but in that same breath, I was sitting there, like I said, at working in the sports, like I watched all those teams all season, and I was like, those teams are overrated. And I feel like in the bracket right now, I feel like there's underrated teams. I think A&M is underrated. Sure. I think OU is underrated, and I think that Texas Tech is overrated. And
okay, agreed.
And I think Indiana's overrated, and I think Ohio State is overrated.
I think Ohio State is rated.
Okay.
In fact, here is where I am coming in now, because we are now in the second year of doing this, and let's be as blunt as I can right now regarding college football.
Okay.
It's no longer amateurs. This is a business.
It is.
This is now a business. So this is now a business, and businesses draw on experience. I noticed that last year during the NCAA tournament, because I was thinking that Dan Hurley was going to go for a three-peat. Nah, Dan Hurley had to restock. There's his business, and that's why UConn's doing so well, even though Michigan's phenomenal. Mm-hmm. And you know what ended up happening is that the experience is what ended up getting these people, so getting them more successful.
Okay.
I am looking at the experience that is in the that is in there right now. Indiana doesn't have experience. Texas
No.
Tech doesn't have that experience.
No.
Georgia's got the experience. Ohio State sure as hell does. And if they were in, Notre Dame has that experience.
Okay.
So what I would have thought, how would I put this? It wouldn't have surprised me that instead of having Alabama and OU, you had, no, I don't know. Just so that King and I can have some fun, we had Notre Dame and Alabama.
Mhm.
Okay. The winner of that game was going to go up against Indiana, right?
Okay.
You mean to tell me that an experienced Notre Dame team, been there, done that, coming from the national championship last year, wouldn't have been a little bit favored? And with the way that the college football kind of went last year, if
Mhm.
looking at patterns, you didn't think that Notre Dame would have had a fighting chance to upset Indiana?
No, I think
And then you're looking at whoever wins Oregon and Texas Tech.
Mhm.
We could have had a repeat of
Right.
the national championship.
Yeah.
That's where I'm coming from, and that's where I'm saying this year I'm picking Ohio State because I believe experience is going to help them
Okay.
this year because they are professionals, and that's where, like I'm saying, look at the team. Ohio State has, they lost some people to the NFL, but they were able to bring a lot of the people back from last year's team.
Yeah.
Experience brings people together, and that's where that whole thing comes in, and it breeds championships.
Right.
Alabama saw that, when it came from one to the other. There might have been a 1 year or 2 year break, but there were still people on that team that were freshmen that won a national championship, and then between Fields to Tua to whomever the other one was, there was like a line of succession of Alabama national championships, so it kept that tradition going.
Mhm.
That's happening and building at Ohio State, and that's going to happen now more prevalently at these larger programs as the championship winners stay there. Like Caleb Williams, after winning the Heisman, was there at USC. And if he built more people around him, he would have had the experience and would have had better success around it.
Mhm.
Now people in this way, they're doing it with the Ohio State. And let's hope that Indiana can kind of keep this up with what they do.
Mhm.
But yeah, we're talking about professionals now. And this is where I want to say this. This is my biggest gripe about Notre Dame
Mhm.
not being in. Notre Dame's not in because the other conferences get less
Okay.
than what Notre Dame gets themselves for football.
Yeah.
Notre Dame is broadcast every home game on NBC.
Yeah.
And I say this, they are the only team. I admit I said this wrong on the show, but they are the only team that plays on Saturday and Sunday where every one of their home games is broadcast nationally.
Mhm.
You think about even like okay, and it's the only one that's broadcast nationally on its channel by itself each time.
Mhm.
And it's the only solo game that goes on at that time because I think they have an exclusive start time too. They are the only ones that are able to do that because even the NFL, you've got 3 o'clock games, or 3, 4 o'clock games. There's no exclusivity. There's
Right.
exclusivity with
Right.
Notre Dame.
Mhm. Right. Well,
That
and I
is
guess
something
well,
that
and so
none
here
of them
so here's the
have.
question I'm gonna pose to you then. Then how come teams like I'm looking at Bama right now. Okay?
Yeah.
On the 29th of November they played or not, the 22nd of November they played Eastern Illinois
Mhm.
and beat them 56-0, right? Why didn't they schedule why don't they instead of playing Eastern Illinois, why don't they play Notre Dame? You know what I mean? Like this is what I'm getting at with
Because
that.
and
Because they need a pad to win, right?
yes. And now what they're seeing with what happened to Texas having their loss from Ohio State being counted against them at the beginning of the season against a phenomenal opponent is now going to have a counter effect where teams like Notre Dame are not going to be looked at by the bigger schools because there's that potential for them to lose that game, and a game even that early in the season against Notre Dame, even if Notre Dame is bad, is going to be waged against them terribly when it comes to these freaking college football playoff committees.
Mhm.
That's the other thing too. It's
Well,
this
and that's
committee.
no, that committee's bullshit, and I agree with that 100%. And I look at and I don't know, everyone does
They
things
fucked it
different,
up.
but I look at like my kids' soccer, right, for high school, right, and we have like 3 different levels of teams, right. We have 3 like A, double. We have like B, A, and double A, right. And if you play a team that's not as good, you actually get more points for losing to a team that's good than you do by beating a team that's bad. Right? Does that make sense? If you're an A team, you lose to a double A team, you get like 7.5 points or some shit, right? But if you beat a B school, you only get 5 points. So it encourages you to play in your bracket or play up, right? If they did something like there's no tangible way to judge these teams. You can say, okay, well, yep, they went 10-2, and there we go. But did they? You know what I mean? When you look at, I'll go back to this Bama schedule. They went 10-3, right? Is that really indicative of how good a team they are when they're beating, garbage teams? And it's the same. I think that same argument that Notre Dame has, and I think the same argument that the Hoosiers have. That they've played some real shit teams, and they don't start out strong. They don't start that first week playing a fucking superstar team. And
exactly.
And I don't think Texas should have been penalized for that. I do think though, looking at the teams, the top I think looking at the list, there's 6 or 7 teams who I think really have a chance of winning, and then the other 6 don't. And I don't think that Texas right now, I don't think Arch Manning is good enough. He's not comfortable enough. He's not developed enough to be that. He's not going to carry that team to the national championship.
Oh no, he was never going to. No,
right.
No.
And so, and I also
think that they were one of the top 12 teams in the country.
I do.
I'll tell you, they were better than James Madison.
Absolutely, they were.
Yeah.
We're sitting here talking all this shit, and James Madison's going to come back and win the fucking national championship on you. Just wait.
If James Madison does that, I will literally like wipe my ass with my underwear and wear it as a mask.
But okay? I'm going to say
I will do that. I will do that live on every show. Every show I will show up with a mask on my face of my skid marked underwear.
Joe Hicks said it needs to be Army. Go Army. And go back to that. Okay, so why do they have? There's like 3 like. Because there's like, where did I go? I need to go back. There's like the Salute to Veterans Bowl, which is Troy versus Jacksonville State on Tuesday the 16th. And then there's
the Military Bowl.
Yeah, right? The Military Bowl is on
the USAA Military Bowl.
Mm-hmm. What day was that one? It's like the 26th, I think. 27th. And that's Pitt versus East Carolina. They should make a rule.
Where's that at? Is that in San Antonio?
No, it's Navy Marine Corps Memorial Stadium in Annapolis.
Damn.
Maybe you get tickets. I bet Vitex has tickets for it.
I'm going to talk to my kid about that one. If it's in Annapolis, I mean.
And I'm not saying.
I don't know.
I think Pitt's going to beat the shit out of East Carolina. But that should be Pitt v. Navy.
Yeah, kind of. I do agree with that one.
I think that should be Pitt v. Navy.
And I don't know where Navy is playing.
Yukon versus Army is the Fenway Bowl in Massachusetts.
That's a good and the only reason why they do that one is just so that they can have a freaking game at Fenway Stadium.
Yeah,
it's also a white and you know what? There's we say pointless bowl games. I do agree with you. Like the Pinstripe Bowl at Yankee Stadium.
What was that one that was like, Cap Wayne did the Costco Walmart Bowl? Yeah.
Yeah. One of those freaking bowls, those bowls are there so they can set up a stadium to do it as a one-time only frickin'
And
thing.
some of these
But,
stadiums
yeah,
are,
and-
you know, are and like you said earlier, like we're talking about Notre Dame, some of they're like these legacy teams or whatever.
yeah,
But I think and some of these, like I said, that Fenway Park Bowl, yeah, it's just to have a bowl game at Fenway, which, you know, is a cool stadium, and I'm glad they're doing it, and I'm not even mad about it. But
but
it's
it also
a
does another
ways,
thing
and the
too. But
Pinstripe
it
Bowl, where the
does,
fuck? But the Pinstripe Bowl's in Yankee Stadium.
yeah, and I can see one thing as part of the reasons why they do this, and it's the same reasoning for, in some of the cases, it is the same reasoning to have a for your local team. So, like the Fenway Bowl,
Mm-hmm.
I bet you that if Boston College was bowl eligible, they'd be playing in the Fenway Bowl.
I think.
Much in the same way that any of like the teams like Syracuse or possibly Rutgers or Iona or one of the or Marist or one of those ones that I mean, I think most of those are actually FCS.
Mhm.
Yeah, I think that those, like, you know, some of those schools will be playing in the Pinstripe one,
Right.
the Hawaii one. You know, they're
Well,
bowl eligible. They got the Sheridan Hawaii one. I think it's to also make sure that that region has a team there, you know,
Mhm.
or something like that.
I do think that the national championship game should be the Pop-Tart Bowl. And
Oh, yeah.
and then you get the trophy and you get a fucking big ass Pop-Tart. I feel like that sounds fair to me.
No, for me, all right, this one for me, I really do think that when you think about like what the national championship means, it really should have been done in the most historic one. And I want to say that as far as I get it, that there's a parade on the first, and
Mhm.
it has to be there as that day. But I think that every national championship game should be at the Rose Bowl.
I think you're right.
You take one historic stadium, you take one historic bowl, and if you want to make it a national championship and a spectacle, you make it a destination. And if you can do so where it's like, here's a 10-year investment, here is the Rose Bowl, and we are going to do something with the Rose Bowl. I mean, well, I know the Rose Bowl's a terrible one, but
I'll even say
you know what?
I'll even
say
say I was
Okay.
gonna say rotate it between like the Cotton Bowl, the Sugar Bowl, the Rose
You
Bowl.
just
You know what I mean?
you
Have
just
them rotate
you
through it.
you just no, you just gave me the one regarding the rose the reason why they're not going to do this.
What is that?
Fuck. We're talking about January, and we're talking about the frickin' what's it called? We're talking about January in football.
Yeah.
What has not what has been happening with every single one of those bowl games that they've had for the national championship over the past 10 years? What have they been played in?
Domes?
Yeah.
Well, this year it's in Hard Rock Stadium in Miami.
Hard Rock in Miami. Okay, Hard Rock in Miami is open element on the field.
But it's Miami.
It's cantilever, and it's Miami, but it's also cantilever on the what's it called?
Right.
You are very, unless you're seeing something in one of those hot ass states, you are not going to be seeing the ones at night during those on an older stadium. So I don't think you're going to see it in Texas where it's going to be cold, or you're going to see elements. You're going to see it in like Florida only, as far as
That's
everything
awesome
else is
idea.
going to have a
Hold on.
dome.
Patrick says I need to have the bottom two teams play for the Tidy Bowl. Now, okay, so what? How? I'm sorry I didn't watch your show. I was still at work, so I didn't get a chance to watch it.
Yeah, no, you're good.
What was your opinion on teams like Notre Dame and Iowa State and them that didn't make it, pulling out of the bowls? What do you think about that?
We didn't discuss that. I could understand the reasonings now for a lot of those bowls not being done.
Okay.
And here's my reasoning on Notre Dame has to do with mine has to do with their money, because Notre Dame is able to do that without their money, and they can go ahead and take that loss where they don't have to play and travel the cost and play at some bowl during the season that is not going to have a big payout for them, because outside of those 11 bowls, really no other bowl matters, and they've made it that way so that even like I said, you made it that way so that Boston College at 6-5 can have a bowl in Fenway Park. But at that same time, too, it's kind of an insult for somebody not to get into the national championship to be that number 13 team and take that. They kind of feel insulted,
Mm-hmm.
and Notre Dame should be feeling insulted after that. So when you've gotten rid of the specialties of the bowls, don't anticipate any of these schools to have that, especially now that they can begin the off-season transfers and recruiting instead of having to focus on a bowl game in which most of the players now can have the chance to opt out so that they don't hurt their draft status, i.e. Shador Sanders sitting in the second half of a fucking bowl game
Yep.
because he's going to go to the NFL draft and then his team fucking losing.
Right.
Okay, that showed that just everybody that
Right. Yeah.
that
No, I agree
Deion
with that.
Sanders,
Yeah, that was
yeah,
shitty.
that showed the clownness of Dion, and part of the reason why freaking Shador dropped is
Right.
because he knew he was about himself.
Well, and I really feel like with I'll take him as an example.
Yeah,
I do understand that, but here's my thing: is I wouldn't have played him at all. That's me. Be like, hey, you
Yeah.
know what? Hey, he's gonna go. I don't want to hurt my star quarterback. We're gonna use this as an experience to get my next year's team some experience and get them kind of up to speed. I understand, like, if that's how it would have been sold, but it was like you said, it was like they were struggling. They could have won the game, but they pulled their top quarterback. And it's like, why are you doing that, dude? So I mean, you could have been like left him at home, be like, he's got a pulled hamstring. We're just gonna let him rest. He's gonna go to the combine. Okay, cool. Let's do that then. But I mean, I feel like at first I was like, they're being really bratty about this, right? I felt like it was being very bratty. I felt like you were there to play football. Your kids are getting paid now to play fucking football. You get your ass out there and play football. That's how I felt at first. And then I kind of settled down about it a little bit. I was like, you know what? What's the fucking matter? What is it? What's it matter to that program? What's it matter to, like you said, especially with Notre Dame in particular, they're not really going to make any more money by going to that. And they're not going to hurt their financial standing. Notre Dame, being Notre Dame, is always going to sell merchandise, is always going to get fucking money from their alumni. A huge alumni pool who does pretty well. They're not going to be hurting for money because they skipped this game. What are they on the hook to maybe win get $1 million or whatever in ad revenue or and bowl revenue? I understand there's not nothing, because my fat ass would sure love $1 million, but to a program like Notre Dame, it's not worth it. Honestly, they're probably getting more attention by not playing in some, even if they're playing in a big game, if they're playing in a bigger bowl. I don't know what bowl they were offered, but to not go is giving them way more airtime and way more discussion about Notre Dame than if they would have just went to whatever, St. John's Toilet Bowl, or even if they would have went to like the Rose Bowl or something and played there. So, Oh, thanks, Sean. He loves our content. Dude, we fucking love having people hang out, dude. Thanks for hanging out. We're here every Wednesday, buddy. We're here every Wednesday. I don't know if I'm gonna be here. Is it Christmas Eve? Is Wednesday? I don't know if I'm gonna play on Christmas Eve and New Year's Eve.
Yeah, no, we're not. Yeah, in fact, King and I were just talking about that. We're gonna be our last show is gonna be
next week.
So next week, so the 17th.
I'm gonna do that too.
Show.
Yeah, but yeah, I'm not gonna do over Christmas break. I need to not. I'm going to be really busy with work. I'm going to be fucking watching all these stupid ass bowl games at work. And honestly, I was kind of thinking that too. Okay, with as much influence as BetMGM and all these fucking companies have over these teams now, and the money they're making it, fuck, I almost wonder if I I watch some of these games, and like I said, I have to watch them, and I watch them. I watch a lot of the for the player props and stuff that people have bet and everything, and like Mahomes, there was one game last year, and Mahomes had like over under rushing yards, like 25 rushing yards or whatever, 27.5 or whatever, and he had like 29, right? And it was the end of the game, and instead of taking a fucking knee and getting his over, he backed up like 5-6 yards a play. And ended up going under by a lot, and that costs all these people all this fucking money, whatever. And I was like, it looked really fucking strange. And there's a lot of other things too that, like, I don't know. There's just a lot of fucking, especially in the NFL lately. I'm just like, that's really weird. Like, over under is 40.5, and they were right at 40 points. That's weird. Or especially when they're not putting some of them, they're not putting halves anymore. And I've been watching, if 20 minutes for game time, if the over under is like 52, they fucking score 52. It's been weird, dude. If they're not putting the halves on there, a lot of it is fucking hitting that number, hitting that over under, or hitting the spread. I'm like, so everyone's a push. Okay, great, dude. You know what I mean? It's been really, I don't know. It's almost like betting on professional wrestling sometimes. You know what I mean? The Vikings got shut out 2 weeks ago. Now they're going to, now they're going to come out and play like that. Mm-hmm. Yeah, sure.
Yeah. So, hey, dude, I gotta get going.
Yeah, you gotta get going. I'm gonna wrap things up, bro.
I'm realizing how bad.
I wrap things up about an hour anyway. So, hey, thanks for coming on. Thanks for fucking bouncing ideas and shit, dude. I really appreciate it.
Hell yeah, man.
And you have a wonderful night, and we'll talk to you later, buddy.
You too, buddy.
All right, thanks. All right. Oh, hey, that was Coach from the sports bar. If you guys didn't know, they're on before me on Wednesdays. They're on at 8 Eastern. And is it the money or the PR? I don't know, Sean. I'm curious with that. I really do. I look at these teams. I look at these college teams, and especially college now, and there's so much money tied up in their sports programs, which is good. I think athletes should be paid. Okay, I'm not arguing that. I think, though, there should be a salary cap in place for every sport. I'm going to take a team like Nebraska, okay, because I'm a little more into it. I have a little more knowledge about Nebraska as a program. But Nebraska has 3 big sports teams that they care about. Okay, they have their number 1 ranked volleyball team, which is a good volleyball team. I'm not taking that away from them. They have their wrestling team, which is also top 5 ranked in NCAA play tournament, NCAA wrestling. And then they have their football team, which is Nebraska football is a big deal. And they make a lot of money off their football team. They make a lot of money off all 3 of those sports, right? But they don't make the kind of money like a team like Notre Dame does, right? And I think Notre Dame pumps all of their money into their football program. You look at Ohio State pumps. Ohio State is one of the best football programs in the nation. Okay? Their basketball team is fucking buns, dude. You know what I mean? So it's kind of like, I don't know, dude. Like, Nebraska has to split their funds through 3 teams. But if you set a salary cap, and I think that's one of those legacy programs. Penn State, it's kind of a legacy program. Purdue used to be fucking, when I was a kid, man, I remember Purdue being a fucking powerhouse. Just bullet makers, fuck, come to town, over there, tear some shit up. And now they just kind of loaf in. And I'm not saying, if you get a chance to play for a team like that, go for it. You know what I mean? If you're a high schooler and you're going to fuck, I'm going to play for Penn State. Or I'm going to play for fucking Purdue. Go fucking do it, dude. Get your college paid for. I say not to. But I feel like those teams, unless they change their ways, UNC, basketball team, they're not going to be a good football team. They're putting all their money toward the basketball program, which I understand. Duke, same way. But you can't, it's like you really struggle to maintain this level of pay for these several teams without a lot of influx of cash. And I feel like it's going to be really difficult for a lot of these teams to compete unless they're willing to put in hundreds of millions of dollars in their football program. And that is, I feel like, in a way, unfair. Teams like James Madison. You know, a lot of people playing on Ohio State right now, a lot of people playing on Indiana came from James Madison. They're doing great at recruiting, and I don't think they're a buns team, but I don't think they're better than Notre Dame. Yeah, Purdue was a beast under Joe Tiller. Yeah, dude, Purdue used to be a fucking powerhouse, dude. Purdue basketball, man, they used to be the fucking, whew. It's back when we were watching Rodman and Jordan and Pippen on the polls, but I mean, dude, they were a good team. And I think that I'm curious as things go forward, things have to change. Or it is just going to be the same 6 teams, 10 teams going for the national championship every year. And I don't know about you guys, but that's not the football I want to watch. So anyway, diehard Coos Hoop fan. Yeah. There are a lot of upstate faithful, Irish faithfuls in upstate New York that live the PR but love watching the Fighting Irish on the field more. So, yeah, dude. Dude, I like that. I'm not saying that Notre Dame should have made it in there. I can make an argument either way. I don't think they were so royally screwed that they were somehow egregiously, but you're right. I think they should have been in before James Madison. Should they have been in before Miami? Here's the deal. They had the same record. They played the same caliber of teams. Miami beat Notre Dame. And by the letter of the law, Miami should have made it in. I understand that. Head-to-head contest is one of the factors, and Miami beat Notre Dame. Granted, it's the first game of the season. Granted that a lot of other things happen, but Miami beat Notre Dame. Therefore, they should be in the playoffs. But Notre Dame's a better team than some of the other teams in there. And that's where I'm going to leave it. So, thanks for coming to my TED Talk on college football. But I appreciate everyone being here. Hey, you've been listening to me, Radar. Yeah, Miami has some fire this season. They did, and I don't think Miami's a horrible team. I'm not saying that, Sean. I have a fighting chance. Yeah. I think Notre Dame should be in the playoffs, but I don't think everyone's like, oh, they got it. Miami should have got it. I think Miami should have got in, but I don't think James Madison should have. That's me. What is this? Kingsmith, I'm taking your job, buddy. You missed the whole, we did a whole hour after your fucking show about college football. This is the college football day. Unless you want to call in, we'll do another hour about college football because I'm down. Fuck it. But yeah, I think he wouldn't like what I don't think. I think the Aggies got it, man. I think the Aggies got a real shot at a run at the championship. I think they got it, man. But anyway, you've been listening to me, Radar, right here on the Sportsbook. Hey, King, I need to have you on one night and we can bullshit about we'll have you on one night and we'll talk about sports betting. We need to do that sometime. Oh yeah, I forgot. I said roll motherfucking tie. Yeah, I had Coach muted. I had him going, and then I muted him because I'm fucking dumb. Look, I unmuted it. The way my computer's set up, system things go through it too. So like when I get dings and shit, when people send me fucking messages, it goes through the feed. But it doesn't. I don't want that happening, so I had that turned off. But I don't normally have a co-host, so I fucked it up. Anyway. He said deal. Nice. It'd be fun. Anyway, you listen to me right here. I'm Radar. This is the Smoke Pit. Tomorrow, Sergeant's time. ISIS Banky, sergeanting. Talking about National Guard, reserves, retirees. I want to talk to Coach about that. There's some legislation going through that's trying to maybe fuck some veterans over, and that's something we should talk about sometime. Maybe we'll talk about that next week. Anyway, they'll talk about some shit tomorrow with that's if you listen to this channel at all in the past, you know that Sergeant's time is where it's fucking at. Then this weekend we have shit. Are they doing the games this weekend? I am bad at my job. I'm so bad at my job. Anyway, FTX, they play some cool games, hang out with them. They shoot the shit. They play games. It's fun. Join them. It's good times. Monday, it's the Monday edition. Aptly named because the edition happens every Monday. Ice and Massey, we talking about some cool shit, talking about current events, the world as it spins and as it turns and all the things in it. And then Tuesdays, Pop Culture Warrior is CQ. Talking about probably new Marvel stuff, whatever is coming down the pipe with pop culture stuff. He will keep you up to date with all that. He loves that show, and it's become a staple on our channel, and I love it. I spent a long time as the co-host on that show, and it's one of my favorites to listen to when I get a chance. And then on Wednesday, Double Decker with the actual King Smith and Coach. They will be the sports barring it up. They'll be talking about sports. There's going to be some really cool sports stuff coming up really quick. There's some interesting battles in the NFL. Some teams who at the beginning of the year, as much as I don't like them, you could not have convinced me the Chiefs weren't going to make the playoffs. I'm not a big Chiefs fan, but I thought for sure they'd at least be in the playoffs, and I guess fucking Kelsey decided not to. Fuck it. Anyway, there's some cool shit going on in sports, and the actual King Smith and Coach will keep you up to date on it. And then coming on to me in the second half of the night in the smoke pit right here on WTF Nation Radio. I really appreciate everyone being here. Thank you so very much for hanging out tonight, and I will see you all next week. Everybody point and laugh at the Chiefs. Yeah, right, Phil. I honestly, I feel kind of bad for him. Oh, yeah, the King and Me on Mondays. Yes. Yes, the King and Me is on Mondays as well. I forgot about that. I need to update my list. I'll update my list right now, King. Absolutely. Yes, go hang out with the King and Me. That is really good. They have a really good, it's the actual King Smith and his actual Mrs. wife. Actual Miss Smith. Actual Queen. Is it Queen Smith? You should call her that. Anyway, but yeah, great show. I blame Taylor Swift. You know what? Here's the thing. We all talk shit about Taylor Swift. She is the queen of selling herself and running a marketing program and taking care of her shit. And I'm surprised she hasn't just bought the fucking Chiefs at this point, because she's got like billions of dollars. Good for her. Anyway, I wish I had a fucking Taylor Swift song to run up right now, because that'd be hilarious. Anyway, I really appreciate everyone being here. And it's always such a pleasure to be here. I'm going to finish this out. We had some Mark Ridge fans in the intro. Someone play another Mark Ridge song called I Ain't a Rich Man. That'll be our outro. I really appreciate everyone being here. Thank you so much. And I will see you next week. Shots.
Everything stated on WTF Nation Radio is to be considered the opinion of the person that stated it, and not an official representation of WTF Nation Radio or U.S. Army WTF Moments.
Price does not include tax, title, or license. Some assembly required. Each item sold separately. Batteries not included. Objects in mirror are closer than they appear. If conditions persist, contact a physician. Individual results may vary. Keep out of the reach of children. Avoid prolonged exposure to direct sunlight. Keep in a cool, dark place. And
please enjoy the show. Shots.
I come from a lifetime of hard labor and dirty hands. Holes in the soles of both of my boots and grease stains on my pants. I never laid eyes on a silver spoon, Lord, I never had a glance. It ain't a high-class living, got my weed and ribbon, so I really don't give a damn. But when it comes to the hard times, yeah, buddy, I've seen them all. Well, I've spent my nights in some busted dives, drank a river of alcohol. And I've broken my back harvest time, working 90-hour weeks. Well, I I ain't a rich man. I ain't no rich man, but damn, I wanna be. They say that money won't make you happy. Let me give it a try. 'Cause I've been working like a dog in the summer heat, going broke on overtime. Oh, I sing my song for the working folk. Go on and raise your beer with me. Sing, I ain't a rich man. I ain't no rich man, but damn, I wanna be. But when I finally break these shackles and I ain't counting out these dimes, when I can play my songs all night long and leave this job behind, you can bet you can find me grinning on the day I'm finally free, singing I ain't a rich man. I ain't no rich man, but damn, I wanna be. Singing I ain't no rich man. I ain't no rich man, but damn, I wanna be.